Ladies and gentlemen, there is a truth you must understand if you're going to walk in the fullness of your calling, and that truth is this: not everyone will celebrate your strength. You were not created to shrink so others can shine. You were not designed to dim your light just to soothe someone else's insecurity. And when a narcissist sees that strength in you, that purpose, that clarity, that boldness, they will respond, not with admiration, but with manipulation. Let me tell you something. Narcissists are not intimidated by your weakness. They are not threatened by your confusion. But when you start walking with your head up, when you begin speaking with conviction, when you refuse to be controlled, that's when the games begin. You see, narcissists are spiritual parasites. They feed off confusion, they thrive on control, and they manipulate through fear. But when they see you standing in your identity, rooted in your purpose, aware of your value, you become dangerous to them. Because you can no longer be used, so what will they do? They will try to discredit you. They will start planting doubt. They will attempt to isolate you from your support. They will twist your strength into arrogance, your assertiveness into rebellion, and your discernment into paranoia. Why? Because they can't dominate a person who knows who they are. But hear me today, your strength is not pride. Your clarity is not rebellion. Your discernment is not disrespect. It is your birthright. It is your design. It is your mantle. So don't apologize for being strong. Don't apologize for walking away from manipulation. Don't apologize for standing in truth. The moment you stop living for validation is the moment you become unstoppable. And that is the very thing a narcissist fears. So walk in truth, walk in authority, walk in purpose, because no one can silence what heaven has approved. Narcissists are not afraid of people who are weak. They are not uncomfortable around those who are unsure, insecure, or easily influenced. In fact, they often feel quite comfortable in those situations because they know they can take control. They know they can shape the thoughts, feelings, and actions of people who are uncertain about themselves. When someone does not fully understand their value or purpose, a narcissist sees an opportunity. But when you begin to grow stronger, something changes. When you start to discover who you really are, when you begin to stand up for yourself, when you start saying no without feeling guilty, when you stop trying to please everyone around you, that is when the narcissist becomes uncomfortable. That is when they feel threatened. You see, strength is not just about having power in your voice or standing tall. Strength is knowing your worth even when others try to convince you otherwise. It is the quiet confidence that tells you, deep in your heart, I don't need to prove myself to anyone. That kind of strength frightens narcissists because now they cannot control you the way they used to. A narcissist feeds on control. They feel powerful when others depend on them. They feel important when people seek their approval. They enjoy being the center of attention. So when someone comes along who does not need their validation, they feel insecure. They might not show it on the outside, but on the inside, they are unsettled. They begin to ask themselves, why isn't this person impressed by me? Why won't they let me control the situation? Why can't I make them feel guilty anymore? And the answer is simple: because you've become strong. This strength does not come overnight. It is built through experiences. You might have gone through hurt. You might have faced manipulation and confusion. But instead of letting it break you, you used it to grow. You learned, you paid attention, and now you know the signs. You know when someone is not being honest with you. You recognize when someone is trying to twist your words or make you feel small. That awareness is part of your strength. At first, the narcissist may try to pretend that nothing has changed. They may act kind. They may even compliment you. But when they see that you are no longer under their control, they will change their approach. They might become more aggressive with their words. They might try to embarrass you in front of others. They might speak behind your back to damage your reputation. Or they may play the victim, making it seem like you have hurt them, just so people will feel sorry for them and blame you. All of this is meant to bring you back under their control. But if you stay firm, if you refuse to fall into their trap, they will lose their power over you. That is when their fear becomes obvious. They realize they cannot change your mind with guilt or confusion anymore. They see that their charm does not move you like it once did, and that makes them panic. Narcissists are afraid of strong people because strong people can see through their mask. Narcissists wear a mask of charm, confidence, and care. But underneath that mask is fear, insecurity, and emptiness. When someone is strong in their identity, they can see past the charm and straight into the truth. And that kind of person cannot be fooled. Strength also brings boundaries. A strong person will say, "This is what I accept, and this is what I will not tolerate." Narcissists hate boundaries because boundaries block control. When you say, "You cannot speak to me like that," or "I will not be part of this toxic behavior," the narcissist sees a wall they cannot climb. And so, they try to tear down the wall using lies, manipulation, or even by playing nice again. But if you stay strong, they realize that their usual tricks no longer work. Sometimes when you become strong, the narcissist will leave you alone, not because they respect you, but because they cannot use you. They move on to find someone else who is not yet aware, not yet strong, not yet healed. That is why your strength is not only for you, it is also a light to others. When people see how you live with confidence and peace, they may start to believe that they can live the same way. Your strength is not loud. It does not always need to fight or argue. Sometimes strength is silent. Sometimes it is simply walking away, not in fear, not in anger, but in wisdom. It's knowing that some people will never change unless they want to, and it is not your job to fix them. It is your job to protect your peace, your purpose, and your future. You were never meant to be controlled by fear, by guilt, or by lies. You were created to walk in truth, to live with clarity, and to grow with purpose. And anyone who cannot handle your strength does not deserve to manage your heart. People who love you will celebrate your strength, not compete with it. They will honor your growth, not try to shrink it. They will support your truth, not fight against it. So if you have faced a narcissist in your life, whether in your family, your workplace, a relationship, or a friendship, and you are finally finding your voice again, know this: you are not wrong for being strong. You are not selfish for setting boundaries. You are not cold for choosing peace. You are finally seeing clearly, and that is a beautiful thing. The path of strength is not always easy, but it is always worth it. You may lose some people, but you will find yourself, and in the end, that is the greatest gain of all. So stand firm, stay grounded, keep growing, because the strongest version of you is the one who can no longer be used, fooled, or broken by the wrong people, no matter how charming they appear. When you become strong, when you begin to understand who you are, when you start walking with confidence and speaking the truth with calm authority, not everyone will celebrate that, especially people who are used to controlling you, using you, or benefiting from your silence. One of the most dangerous types of people in your life is the kind that cannot handle your growth. These are people who, instead of being happy for your healing, feel upset by it. They do not admire your strength, they try to manipulate it. You see, some people liked you better when you were unsure of yourself. They liked it when you always said yes, even when it hurt you. They liked it when you stayed quiet, even when they were wrong. They liked the version of you that didn't know how valuable you were, because that version was easier to manage, easier to influence, and easier to use. But when you change, when you stop playing small, they get nervous. They don't clap for you, they get uncomfortable. Why? Because your strength reminds them that they are losing control. Instead of saying, "Wow, I'm proud of how far you've come," they start looking for ways to pull you back into the old version of yourself. They may not do it openly. In fact, manipulation is often very quiet. It comes in the form of fake concern, guilt trips, silent treatment, or twisted words. They might say, "You've changed," not as a compliment, but as a warning. They might say, "You think you're better than everyone now," even when all you're doing is choosing peace. They may question your motives, not because they care, but because they hope to confuse you. They want you to doubt yourself again. When you grow strong, you become clear. You begin to notice things you used to overlook. You start to recognize when someone is crossing a line, speaking disrespectfully, or taking advantage of your kindness. And the moment you address it, the moment you speak up, they don't admire you, they try to silence you. They may say things like, "Why are you so sensitive?" or "You're overreacting." This is not real concern. This is a tactic. The goal is to make you question your strength so that you will go back to being silent, back to being easy to control. This is how manipulation works. It doesn't always come from anger. Sometimes it comes from sweet words that carry hidden motives. They might pretend to care. They might act like they are doing what's best for you. But deep down, it's not about helping you, it's about keeping their power. Because when you are strong, they lose their ability to lead you where they want. And for people who live for control, that feels like a threat. Some will even use your kindness against you. They know you don't like conflict. They know you try to see the good in people, so they play the victim. They act hurt so that you'll feel guilty. They'll say things like, "You don't care about me anymore," or "You're pushing me away," when really all you're doing is protecting yourself. But because you have a soft heart, their words sting. And that's what they're counting on, that you'll feel bad enough to lower your boundaries again. But strength is not unkind. It's not cold or selfish. Real strength is full of love, but it's also full of wisdom. When you are strong, you can still care about people, but you stop letting them walk all over you. You stop explaining your every move. You stop apologizing for choosing peace. You start taking care of your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, even if others don't understand. And let's be honest, not everyone will understand. Some people are so used to getting their way that when you start saying no, they see it as betrayal. But you are not here to live for their comfort, you are here to live in truth. If someone truly loves you, they will not punish you for growing. They will support your healing, not fight it. They will welcome your strength, not try to weaken it. So if someone starts treating your strength like it's a problem, pay attention. If your voice makes them uncomfortable, if your peace makes them irritated, if your confidence makes them act different, it's not because you've done something wrong. It's because you've stepped into a new level and they don't know how to handle it. Manipulation is a sign of insecurity. People who know who they are and who are secure in themselves do not need to manipulate others. They speak with honesty, they treat people with respect, but those who are afraid of losing control will often use manipulation to try to keep their place in your life. They won't admit it, but their actions will reveal it. They might try to rewrite the past, they might remind you of your mistakes to keep you quiet. They may say things like, "Don't forget where you came from," or "You weren't always like this," not to inspire you but to bring you down. This is not love, this is fear wearing a friendly mask. The best thing you can do in these moments is stay grounded, trust your growth, stand in your truth. You don't need to argue, you don't need to explain. And you definitely don't need to shrink. You didn't become strong by accident. Life shaped you, pain taught you, God lifted you, and now that you see things clearly, don't let anyone cloud your vision again. There are people out there who will admire your strength. There are people who will celebrate your confidence and walk beside you with honor. Do not waste your strength trying to please those who are only comfortable when you're weak. Your strength is not the problem. Their reaction to it is. And the sooner you stop expecting support from those who fear your growth, the more peace you will have. Keep growing, keep healing, keep standing tall. Because your strength was never meant to be admired by everyone, it was meant to protect you, guide you, and prepare you for what's next. There is something that happens when you start waking up to the truth. When you begin to notice that someone's love feels more like control, that their compliments come with conditions, and that their kindness disappears when you stop doing things their way, your eyes start to open. And once you begin to pull away from that kind of person, especially if they are a narcissist, they won't just let you go peacefully. No, they will try to isolate you and discredit you, because losing control over you feels like an attack to them. A narcissist doesn't want relationship. They want power. They don't want connection. They want control. And as long as you play along with their game, they will act like everything is fine. But the moment you stop playing that role, the moment you begin to question their actions or stand up for yourself, everything changes. They don't see your strength as healthy. They see it as dangerous to their influence, their image, and their control over you. That's when the manipulation grows darker, and two of their most common tools are isolation and discrediting. Isolation begins slowly. You may not even notice it at first. They might say things like, "That friend of yours isn't really loyal to you," or "Your family doesn't understand you like I do." It sounds like concern, but it's not about protecting you, it's about cutting you off. The goal is to make you feel alone, so you depend more and more on the narcissist. When they succeed in isolating you, you begin to question everyone else. You begin to see your world only through the lens they have given you. And once you're alone, they become your only voice, your only influence, your only reality. They might also create drama between you and others. They might spread lies or half-truths about you to the people close to you. Suddenly, someone who used to be warm toward you becomes distant. You don't know why. You feel confused, hurt. But what you don't know is that the narcissist has been poisoning them with carefully chosen words. "I'm worried about her." They might say, "She hasn't been herself lately." Or, "He's making some really bad decisions." They pretend to be concerned, but they are planting doubt in others' minds about you. Why do they do this? Because if people stop trusting you, they are more likely to believe the narcissist. And if the narcissist can make others doubt you, then you will feel powerless, alone, misunderstood, and that's exactly what they want, because isolated people are easier to control. People without support are easier to manipulate. Once you begin to see the truth and pull away, the narcissist fears losing their grip. They know they can't stop you with love because their love is fake. So they turn to lies, they twist your story, they speak in whispers, they smile in public and destroy your name in private. They make you look unstable, ungrateful, or even cruel, all while acting like they are the victim. And because they can be charming in public, people often believe them. That's one of the most painful parts. Watching people believe lies about you while the narcissist plays innocent. You may even try to defend yourself at first. You may try to explain to others what's really happening, but often it doesn't work. The narcissist has already gotten to them first. And when you speak, they may say things like, "I don't think you would ever do that," or "She's always been so kind to me." They don't understand what you've been through behind closed doors. Narcissists know how to perform. They know how to wear a mask, and they are skilled at making the real victim look like the problem. Being isolated and discredited can be deeply painful. You may feel like you've lost not only the narcissist, but also people you once trusted. You may wonder, am I really the problem? You may feel tempted to go back to the narcissist just to prove you're not what they say you are. But going back only gives them more power. The best thing you can do is stay away and stay grounded in the truth. Healing from this kind of emotional and social attack takes time. You have to rebuild your sense of reality. You have to remind yourself that your story is still valid even if others don't understand it. Just because someone has turned others against you does not mean you are wrong. It means you are strong enough to walk away. And strength always threatens people who need control to feel powerful. You might lose friends. You might have people believe things about you that are not true. You might spend some lonely nights wondering why it had to be this way. But even in the loneliness, you are free. You are no longer controlled by someone who only wanted to use you. You are no longer tied to lies disguised as love. And in that freedom, you can begin to find new, healthier relationships with people who won't require you to shrink to stay close. The good news is, over time, the truth usually rises. The mask of the narcissist begins to crack, especially when they try to repeat the same behaviors with new people. Eventually, others will see it too. But even if they don't, that's not your responsibility. Your job is not to convince the world. Your job is to protect your peace and walk in the truth. You don't need to defend your character to everyone. Your life, your peace, and your consistency will speak for you. Stay close to people who know your heart. Stay grounded in what you know is true, and don't let the narcissist pull you back into a place of confusion. When a narcissist isolates and discredits you, it's not because you are weak. It's because you became too strong to control. So they tried to make you feel small again. But they can't win not if you stay standing, stay quiet when needed, and keep walking forward. Even when your name is under attack, your soul is safe. You are not alone, you are not what they say, and the truth in time always finds its voice. Keep healing, keep standing, keep growing. You are stronger than their lies. There comes a time in life when you begin to realize that not everyone around you wants you to be strong. That may surprise you at first because we grow up believing that if we work hard, grow wiser, become more confident, and walk in truth, the people around us will be proud of us. We believe they'll celebrate our growth. We believe they'll stand by our side as we rise. But sadly, that is not always the case. Some people, especially those who have gotten used to controlling you, do not welcome your strength. They see your strength as a threat because it shines a light on something they would rather keep hidden: their control over you. When you were uncertain, when you doubted yourself, when you needed their approval or their permission to feel okay, they had power. They could decide how you felt by how they treated you. They could raise you up with a kind word or break you down with silence or criticism. They had influence and they liked it. To them, your weakness was comfort. Your silence was permission, your fear was cooperation, but then something changed. You began to see yourself more clearly. You started recognizing the unhealthy patterns. You started asking questions you never asked before. You started listening to your inner voice instead of their opinions. And as you did that, the hold they had on you began to weaken. Suddenly, you didn't respond to their anger like you used to. You didn't jump to explain yourself. You didn't try to please them at the cost of your peace. You didn't back down just to avoid conflict, and that's when they began to see you differently. Not as someone they could shape and mold, but as someone who could now see through the game. That's what threatens them the most. Your strength doesn't just make you hard to control. It exposes the fact that they were controlling you in the first place. When you speak with calm confidence, you reveal how often they used fear to silence you. When you stand firm in your boundaries, you show how often they crossed lines they had no right to cross. When you walk away from their drama instead of feeding into it, you prove that their chaos only had power because you stayed in it. Your strength holds up a mirror. It shows them that the influence they once had over you was never about love. It was about control, and people who love control hate mirrors. They don't want to see themselves. They don't want to admit that what they called love was actually manipulation. They don't want to face the truth that they kept you small on purpose. So instead of facing that reality, they turn their frustration toward you. They may start calling you difficult. They may say you're being selfish or cold. They may accuse you of changing for the worse, all because you no longer obey their unspoken rules. But this is not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're no longer afraid. Your strength reveals their weakness. Your healing reveals their brokenness. Your peace reveals their need for control, and that makes them uncomfortable. They may even try to test you to see if they can pull you back into the old version of yourself. They'll say things that used to make you feel guilty. They'll act offended when you don't give in. They might even get louder, colder, or more distant, just to see if you'll chase after them, but this is not love. This is control in disguise. It is their way of trying to pull the power back in their direction, but don't fall for it, because every time you stay calm instead of reacting, you win. Every time you hold your boundary with grace, you win. Every time you speak truth without fear, you win. Every time you choose peace over proving yourself, you win. You are not here to live under the control of anyone. You were not created to shrink so someone else can feel big. You were not designed to stay small so someone else can feel powerful. You were made to walk in truth, in freedom, and in strength. That strength may cost you some relationships. It may change the way people treat you. It may even leave you feeling alone at times, but it will never leave you empty, because real strength comes from within. It's not based on approval. It's not shaped by manipulation. It's not handed to you by someone else. It's discovered when you stop pretending and start living fully as the person you were meant to be. The moment you stop letting others define your worth, you step into a new level of freedom. The moment you stop explaining your choices to people who only want to control them, you rise. And when you do that, the people who only stayed close because they could control you will begin to fall away. That's okay. Let them go. Because the ones who truly love you, the ones who want to see you grow, will not be afraid of your strength. They will celebrate it, they will admire it, they will stand beside it, not against it. You don't have to become smaller just to keep someone else comfortable. You don't have to tone yourself down just to be accepted. And you don't have to return to a version of yourself that was easier to manipulate. That chapter is over, you've grown, you've changed, you've healed, and now you're seeing everything more clearly. Yes, your strength is a threat to those who need control to feel secure. But to the right people, your strength is a gift. To the right people, your strength is inspiring. And to your future, your strength is absolutely necessary. So walk forward boldly. Speak the truth gently but firmly. Stand in who you are without shame, and know this: every time you choose strength over silence, you are reclaiming your power. You are breaking old patterns. You are setting yourself free, and that kind of strength, that's not just a threat to control, it's the beginning of true freedom. There comes a moment in life when everything becomes clear. It doesn't always happen quickly, and it doesn't happen loudly. Often, it happens in silence. After days, weeks, or even years of confusion, something shifts inside of you, and all of a sudden, what once felt blurry starts to come into focus. You begin to see what is real and what is fake. You begin to feel the difference between truth and manipulation. You stop questioning your own voice and start listening to it. That moment is called clarity, and when it comes, it changes everything. Clarity is powerful. It doesn't shout, it doesn't force, but it speaks with a kind of strength that cannot be denied. It brings peace to your mind and courage to your heart. Clarity helps you see who you really are and what you really deserve. It reminds you that you don't have to keep living in fear, in guilt, or in confusion. Clarity helps you walk in truth, but when you start walking in clarity, not everyone will like it. Some people who are used to you being unsure may start calling you rebellious. They may say you're becoming distant, too bold, or too confident. Why? Because your clarity takes away their power to confuse you. It makes it harder for them to twist your words or blame you for things that were never your fault. It makes it harder for them to control how you think and feel. And that makes them uncomfortable. To them, your clarity feels like rebellion, but it's not. You are not rebelling. You are simply refusing to be blind anymore. You are not fighting anyone. You are simply choosing to see clearly and stand in what is true. That is not rebellion, that is authority. You have a right to know who you are. You have a right to understand what is happening around you. You have a right to make choices that protect your peace and your growth. You are not here to live in a fog just so others can stay in control. You are not here to keep quiet just so others can stay comfortable. You are not here to be confused forever. You are here to wake up, to grow up, and to rise up. There are people who may have once liked you better when you doubted yourself. They liked when you needed them to tell you what to think. They liked when you always apologized first, even when you did nothing wrong. They liked when you didn't speak up, when you avoided conflict, and when you let things go for the sake of keeping the peace. But peace built on your silence is not real peace, it's control. And once you begin to see that, you cannot unsee it. That's what clarity does. It opens your eyes, and when your eyes are open, you can't pretend anymore. You can't go back to being confused on purpose. You can't agree with lies just to keep things smooth. You can't smile at disrespect. You can't ignore your own needs. You can't continue playing a role just to make others feel powerful. Clarity wakes you up, and when you are awake, your whole presence changes. You begin to speak with calm confidence. You begin to say no without guilt. You begin to walk away from places where your soul was shrinking. You stop asking for permission to be yourself. You stop explaining every decision. You stop waiting for someone else to approve your healing. That's not rebellion. That's authority. Authority means you know where you stand. You don't need to shout it. You don't need to prove it, you just live it. It means you trust your voice, even if others don't. You trust your values, even if others challenge them. You trust your path, even if others don't understand it. You stop letting other people's confusion become your problem. You stop letting their opinions define your identity. You stop letting their guilt trips control your steps. When you have authority, you don't argue with people who twist your words. You don't fight to be seen by those who refuse to see you. You don't beg to be believed. You simply live in truth and let the results speak for themselves. People might call it cold. They might call it pride. They might say you've changed, and they're right. You have. You've changed by becoming more grounded. You've changed by becoming clear. And people who need fog to stay in power will always call light a problem. But that's not your burden to carry. That's theirs. You didn't come this far to go back to confusion. You didn't heal this much just to stay in fear. You didn't wake up just to pretend again. You came into clarity so you could live with freedom, so you could love from a place of strength, not fear, so you could lead your life with wisdom, not pressure, so you could speak with peace, not panic. Let them say what they want. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call your clarity rebellion if they must. You don't owe them confusion just to be accepted. You don't owe them weakness just to make them feel strong. You don't owe them anything that costs you your soul. Clarity is your birthright, and once you embrace it, everything begins to change. You stop chasing what was never real. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. You stop shrinking to fit into places that cannot hold your truth. And in that space, you begin to thrive. You begin to walk with quiet confidence. You begin to breathe deeper. You begin to smile more honestly, because finally you are standing in your own authority. So don't let their labels confuse you. Don't let their words shake you. And don't let their rejection make you question your decision. You didn't choose rebellion. You chose clarity. You chose healing. You chose truth. And that truth gave you your voice, your vision, and your freedom. That is not something to apologize for. That is something to stand in, fully, boldly, quietly, strongly, because your clarity is not rebellion. It is your authority, and it is time to walk in it. So now, walk tall. Walk in peace. Walk with your head held high. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you finally know who you are. You don't have to fight to be seen anymore. You don't have to beg to be heard. You don't have to live in confusion to keep others comfortable. You are clear now, and with that clarity comes strength. With that strength comes peace, and with that peace comes freedom. Let them talk. Let them judge, let them misunderstand. That is no longer your concern. You are not here to serve their version of you. You are here to live in truth, and truth doesn't need to shout. It simply stands. So stand, not in anger, not in rebellion, but in calm, quiet authority. Because you are no longer afraid to be clear. You are no longer afraid to be strong. You are no longer afraid to be you, and that is power.